We are live. Hello and welcome, everyone. This is the video where we're going to talk about BuildShip for the complete beginners, for you to build so many great experiences for your backend, for your Flutter flow, for your WeWeb, whatever you're trying to create in no code. We have the pleasure to have Shams here. Shams, how are we doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, definitely. Before we get started, could you tell the good people who you are, where you're from, and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I'm co-founder and CTO of Rowie/BuildShip. So if you know we're already, Rowie has been for 2 years now, and mostly focused around a better CMS for Firestore. So allowing people to edit the data of Firestore very easily. And basically, what happened was we started building more functionality around the CMS element where you're able to do function calling based on data changes. And then what we wanted to do is narrow down on like that functionality part of like the backend when some data changes happen or when an API gets called. We want to make that into like build a logic around that and make that visually easy and intuitive to understand. And that's where BuildShip comes in. So BuildShip is more around doing the functional part of your backend. So it's building an API endpoint to make something on the backend side, so you have a secure environment to run things in and make your API calls securely with your private keys, or like run scheduled jobs every day or every hour. You want to do something, you should do that on a backend. You can't really do that on a front end, right? Because front end is only based on user interactions, and the main part is like being able to do all these things with AI. I think it's very important because the functionality has always been there in terms of writing JavaScript code and running it, but the things that's opening up the space is like being able to generate nodes with AI, or like pre-fill the values with AI. So having that as a helping hand is one of the core pillars of BuildShip.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. So this is great. We're seeing people in the chat talking about they want to learn how to use this. Great to see you, Mohammed. This is great. This is great. And you have the best person here as having the co-founder and CTO that allows you to know about this. So this is good. Could you talk about this just a little bit more? You were saying for BuildShip, for building different scheduled things in the back end, those things. Could you talk about one or two use cases that you've seen, apps that have just like excelled, or it's a game changer for their use case? Could you give us a couple examples?
Um, I think like we'll start with like something really simple. Let's say you're like building a Flutterflow app and you're making an OpenAI call to the front end, right? From the front end to OpenAI. And that, like, for your demo or for prototyping, that works and that's cool. But then as soon as you publish it, any malicious person can go into your app and look for your API key and go use your credits, right? So that's something that's like very simple. It's just instead of handling that on your front end, you do that on the back end side. So what happens is that your Flutter flow would end up just sending the call to BuildShip, and then the request to OpenAI or your like service provider gets managed by BuildShip securely, and then the response comes back as whatever. If you want to do modifications, it can come back to your, like, as a clean structured data
Gotcha.
yeah.
Now let me ask you something, because some people might be finding Rowie or BuildShip for the first time. By the way, we'll drop all the links down below. For you, do you use Flutterflow and Rowie and BuildShip, or do you just use Flutterflow and BuildShip? What do you see a lot of use cases?
You definitely need all three, but I think like for most cases you need all three. if you're like, you start with just Flutter Flow, right? And you build out like the basics, and then you realize, oh, I need to manage some data that shows up on my app, and then you start using Rowie to manage those apps, to manage those data. So that's like that Firestore data that you're storing, that you're accessing on your app. So you start using Rowie. Then you start doing the API calls or backend logic that you want to do that you don't want to do on the front end. That becomes BuildShip. So it eventually you need all three. I think it depends on what the actual app is. So for example, if you want to do just a WhatsApp bot, then you don't need Flutterflow. Um, Things like that. So it depends on the end goal.
That sounds good. Okay, cool. So what we put in the chat real quick, if you want to try out BuildShip or Rowie, make sure that you look at the links down below, that you'll see all of those things. And then what we'll do is, again, if you have questions, all of those things, make sure you take a look at the replay. Don't forget to do hashtag replay down below. And we'll also be building out our BuildShip complete beginner's guide right here as we're taking notes and all these things, because Shams is showing us all of these things, and I'm taking notes right now for you, so you can get a link to all the notes as we're talking and everything like that. Okay, so first of all, what I'm going to do, if you don't mind, I'm going to log in, or I'm going to sign up for these different accounts, so we kind of start from the beginning and we can kind of go through it step by step. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, everybody. So remember, you can get started for free. And I love free. I love free. So this is going to be really allowing you to see what you can be doing for your project, and then be able to expand if you need to get the paid tiers and all of those things, but depends on your use case. So we're going to log into BuildShip and then also Rowie in a moment. And what we're going to do, should we go through BuildShip first? Is that okay?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. I think like Rowie is more of like the data part, so we wouldn't need that for starting something new. So we can just do BuildShip first, and then if we get there, we can cover some Rowie concepts.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to be doing this, and what I'm going to be doing. Okay. So I am moving some things around. I have way too many tabs. Open. Okay. So when we're starting here, should I start a new workflow? Would that be best?
You have like, let's look at the hello world workflow one. I think that's like the, if you just sign up,
Yep.
we'll just get that, right? And basically what that shows you is that the most fundamental part of the workflow in terms of like building an API call is the the request, the trigger part, which is going to be, where am I going to be able to access this? And the method, which is like, what type of API request is it calling? And those are like the REST API method, like standards of how to communicate between clients and servers. So here, when we're using like, we want to test out like, hey, is this project actually working? When you press ship,
Right
it will
here.
give, yeah. So when you press ship, it will start building like the back end configuration to be able to handle those workflow. And basically we have the path, which is where is it going to be accessed, the method, which is what kind of request you'll be able to handle. So by default, your browser sends GET requests. So if you copy that URL and then open in a new tab, you'd be able to see the value that's returned. So that's going to show you like the hello world value. But for example, if we're doing like a post method, it wouldn't actually, it wouldn't work, because the browser only makes GET requests. So the method is the second option in the trigger.
Excellent. Okay. This makes sense. This is great. So if we want to see it, we can be looking at the endpoint URL. We can copy it. We can see this. Okay, excellent. What do these three dots over here do? If I click that,
So, yeah,
should
so
I
that
mess with this at all or no?
not really.
Mhm.
Most of the time you don't need to, and we try to I think what we try to do is not hide anything away in BuildShip because
Mhm.
you're trying to build your backend. You should have access to everything you need in terms of like the configuration level. And what we like to do is build something that you can open the settings and change everything that you need. But by default, you shouldn't need to do much in terms of those lower level stuff. So, but we wouldn't want to limit you to like some decision that I've made or someone else in the team made. But you should be able to make more complex choices if you need to get there. But by default, you don't need to make those changes.
Okay.
We can look at this, or like, I think what we could do is like add a node in between to make it more interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we
Okay,
can,
let's do it. So I would click the plus sign right here, correct?
yeah,
And
yeah.
then
So
from
that,
mhm.
yeah,
Sounds great.
that lets you pick position where you want to put the nodes in, right? And potentially, like once you have more nodes, you want to put something in between, and like the logic of your workflow changes by saying like, oh, actually I want to add this, or I forgot to add that. Here you have like the options are, we have like core nodes, which are like the logical part of the flow. So we have, if you look at the core nodes, you have the return, which we already have, which returns the value to the endpoint. We have branching, which is like more of a condition, depending on what the condition is, if it's true or false, or like it could be an expression. I think that could be something that we can add now to test how it works. I think that's good.
Okay, let's do it.
So yeah,
Okay.
so here you have more documentation around it, and then you can click add node, and then that will show up here. So by default, you see in the branch node on top, it shows you like condition, true or false, and you can click on either one, and that'll set a static value. So it will always be true. So then once it's always true, it will go to then. If it's always false, it will go to else. But like the interesting part is when you have the pen tool, when you click on the pen tool. Um,
Okay. Let's see. Pen tool. This one?
the one in the condition, next to the condition.
There we go.
Yeah. So here you can see it's like it's showing you it's a JavaScript expression. Um, so for example, we could do a condition where if the request has a name in it, then we can grade the person with their name. If the person doesn't have a name, we'll just say like we'll just send a generic hello. How does that sound?
Sounds good. Okay. If I'm here, that makes sense to me. But what if I don't know how to write code? You just told me that thing. I'm like, wait a minute. Should I go to use ChatGPT to write it out and ask for JavaScript code? What should I do?
Um, we can try the AI feature for that. But
Let's
I think it's because your pop up is too zoomed in, like it's not showing it. I think yeah. So in that like the wand, the magic wand thing,
mm-hmm.
not this one. So this one allows you to generate nodes. Um, actually, so like if you click on the pen tool, back at the pen tool, the second
Mm-hmm.
condition one.
There we go. So I'm
Yeah,
clicking in right here for the magic wand for this section.
yes, and then basically that allows you to say like you can put in your logic here, um, to like pre-fill it. But I think the problem is going to be that like the OpenAI API is down at the moment, so
Mm. Okay. No worries. No worries. Okay.
Yeah. So like then you can just say that like express the logic in English, and it'll be able to pre-generate it for you. But it's very easy to do like by just like coding it. So if you clear out that true value,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can click on variables. So here in the variables, you have the request as a variable. If we click on the nested, like the subfield, the arrow, yeah, and then we
Mm-hmm.
click on query parameters. Yeah, you can click on query parameter, and then we can do like dot name. So after the query, you can click on it, and then you can do dot name.
Like
So
this.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like that. So that basically extracts that property from the query parameter, and by default, because this is a condition, it will cast everything into a true or false. So when if we don't specify this parameter, by default it will say it's false, and then if it's true, if it's like if you put any name in it, it will be true. And that, I think for us, that will be good enough for the condition for the branch, right? So we can click away and it will save it.
Okay. I'm
And then
paranoid. Okay, it's
sorry,
there.
yeah. So that, yeah, it's that basically like converts that name into a boolean. So if there is a name, it will be true, and then it will go to the then section of the workflow. If there is no name, it will be false, and it will go to the else.
And
So
real quick, just to make sure for the audience, if I'm saying this correctly, let me know. So Boolean is almost like if someone imagines an off on switch. So they go into a
yeah,
room, it's off on. Trigger like that.
exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Exactly. But the extra thing is, it's like if you it's basically if you say nothing, it'll be off, and if you say anything, it'll be true. So that's the it's yeah. You can also say true or false, or you can say anything, and it will be true by default.
Sounds
And
great.
that, yeah, for us that should be enough. And then so what we could do is we can change the you can try dragging the return node on you see the top left section of the workflow.
Top left of the return. Up. Sometimes I missed you just for a second. I think I'll hear you in a second. Okay, are you back?
Yeah,
Okay. I missed that last part. You said the top left.
yeah. So the workflow, not in the node, in the workflow, like under add node button. Yeah, so that one. If you click on and um, drag it into the then
Like
inside the
that. Let's see.
so inside the then rather than directly in the branch. Yeah, there. No, there. Is it tricky? There.
There,
It's
that, like that, or just above it. Let me do this. Like that. Or
inside the
let's see about this. Inside the Zen. Then, so if this is right here, right?
yeah.
I should have the arrow down to put it in.
Not sure. Would that work? Yeah. Yeah. There you go. So that
Okay.
yeah. So that's a new feature we're testing out. But basically, that allows you to move things around in the workflow, and
Mm.
so so now we have like the value. What we could do is we need to make that value dynamic. Um, so in the return value, the pen tool.
Hmm. Let's see. The return value pen tool. There we go.
Yeah. So here, we can remove the world.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then we can insert a variable. And
Nice.
then yeah, so that one will do. Click on query parameters. And then you see here, it automatically converts it into like a template string. So we don't have to do anything. So then for the query parameters, we're going to do .name. So it will...
Inside or outside the brackets? Outside, do .name?
Inside.
Right here, .name.
Yeah. So that basically is like template for like a JavaScript template. So it will put your name in that string. Do you want to add you can add another return on the else branch.
Should I add a plus sign right there and then build out from there from return? So I'd click the plus sign, then I would click return.
Yeah.
Then I would add node.
Yeah.
And I would duplicate the same thing. Would I make any changes?
So we can set like the status code, which is like we can click on them and then you can see the options.
Let me zoom in. Let me see. I wonder if this would be better if we can see. So I'm clicking in the status code. I'm clicking the pencil.
Not the pencil, the drop down.
Drop down.
Yeah. So we can say it's a bad request because you didn't provide a name.
Okay. And then
and then you can in the values say like the error message that you want to tell the user to provide the name.
Okay. And the value, can I just use regular English right here? I can just say
exactly.
Oh no. This was, I'm just going to say bad name. All right. There we go. So I have here the value here. The status is going to be a bad request here. Okay. And then what should I do?
So now any changes you make will not go live to like the endpoint unless you press ship. So that the reason behind that is you don't want to have like while we're making the changes, things go live and then it would be like a broken stay in between. So every time we want to actually push something out, we can press ship and that will update the URL that we called earlier and we can try it out again and we'll show the new behavior.
Okay. Can I press it?
Yes.
There we go. Okay. So actually, okay. So as this is working, oh, look, I didn't even have time to ask my question because it was too fast.
Sorry. We'll work on
that. Yeah. Make this slower. Make this slower. Okay. So let's copy it over. I'm going to do it again. I have it here. And then I have, oh no, bad request. Or, oh no, bad name.
Yeah. So what we do here is we can put in the query parameter, which is like the way we do it with the URL. We can put a question mark and name equals, sorry. Yeah. So a question mark, name equals, and then you can put the name that
should I do capital letters? Can I have spaces? No spaces?
Anything. I think anything you can do any. Yeah, that should work. Yeah.
Let's say doc. There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
So we just built it right there. Okay. Okay.
So that basically does like that introduces like that kind of introduces the branching, also how to deal with templates, right? So or like writing expressions. We can try something else as well.
Okay, so I have a real use case for you, and this is, by the way, I did not ask him beforehand. This is just people have asked. So this is something. Okay, so someone has asked this actually in the comments section of a YouTube video just now. They're trying to create an app, a simple app. They live by themselves. they're trying to help older ones that don't have anyone around to check on them. So they want to create something where they click a button every day, and if they click a button, nothing happens. But if they don't click a button within 24 hours, they would have either a message go out to 911 or a message go out to a relative to just say, like, help, I haven't been able to reach my app or something like that. Is that something we could do in BuildShip? You mentioned repetitive tasks, something like that.
Yeah. So we could do that. So like the idea behind that, like you need different components. You need the API endpoint that we said, so that button can be built anywhere. It could be like a HTML button, it could be like a Flutter Flow button, but basically when you click the button, you're going to make an API call, right? And that's like what we were able to build here. And then the next thing is, after the API call, is that what is the API going to do? And what we would like to do is store it in a database, right? So we want to store that doc click the button today, or like, yeah. So and then so we store that on the database. We might have like a list of users where we can, every time the user clicks the button, we can update the time when it was clicked last, right? And then we can set up a scheduled job every day, where we query the database and say who hasn't clicked in the last 24 hours, right? And then you can do, based on that query, you can do several different actions.
I love it. Now, again, we don't have to do all that right now, but the reason I ask you that is, and this is great, let me know in the comment section down below. If you listen to what he's saying, do you hear the logic of he's going step by step of what we need to do? So if you're thinking about this, you need to first write down on a piece of paper or on a Notion doc, wherever it is, write down the actions or write down what you need to accomplish. Then we can progress and go through these things. Okay. All right. Looks great. What
We
would
can
you?
do
Yeah.
some part of it. So the next part would be like to store it to a database, right?
Yeah.
So you can click add add a node. So like if we want to build that one out, or you want to do something else, we can also do that.
Let's do it.
Okay. You want to make a new workflow?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. And by the way, I'm checking. OpenAI is still down, but we'll do this in the intro. Okay, so I'm gonna click new. I'm gonna click the plus sign on workflow here.
Yeah.
Okay. And starting here, should I start with adding a trigger? What should I do first?
You should name your workflow. So
That's a good thing. No, I'm gonna say life alert. Yeah, I'm gonna say life alert. Yeah, I'm gonna say that. Okay. If I can spell life and not live, hold on a second. It's a struggle. It's a struggle. Okay. Okay, we've named it. That's I'm going. It's already going to be a better day. Okay.
All right. So next we gotta add the trigger. So same as last time. Yeah. So you have different triggers as well. So we have the REST API trigger, which we had before, which is like making an API call. We have a ROI trigger that basically, if some data changes on ROI, it will make an authenticated request to BuildShip to run some logic. So that way, like whenever some data changes on your Firestore database, either on ROI or on Flutter Flow that you've made the write to Firestore, it would automatically call a BuildShip workflow. And then we have the schedule, which is the thing that we're going to use later to like check on daily basis, say every 24 hours, who hasn't checked in, right? And then we have the others, Stripe and Telegram and WhatsApp bot. So the WhatsApp and Telegram bots are whenever, like, let's say we don't do a button and instead we do a WhatsApp bot where we expect the user to like send us a hey, right? And we can log that to the database as that person is still active, right? So that would be like another way of doing it. But for now, we can do like a REST API.
Okay. We'll start there. And I like also too, like you mentioned, depending on, a lot of people might think about, and correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of people are like, well, I got to do a full app. But if you do something with Telegram or WhatsApp, it might be more applicable to what you're trying to do. It might, more people might join or do things with it if you do something like that. So, okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think basically you got to think about like what is it that you're trying to solve, right? And what's the minimal viable product that you should build to solve that problem. I wouldn't approach anything in terms of like, let's build an app for that, right? It should be
Yeah,
like, what do we need to do? Okay, let's figure out the easiest way to do it.
I
And
love it. So we'll start with REST. So I'll do add a trigger right here.
yeah.
And then we got, by the way, C's coming out here. He's saying that BuildShip is an interesting tool. No doubt. That's exactly right. That's why we have the founders here, man. This is why we're talking about it. It's a game changer. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. So we have this right here.
So the first thing we got to do after setting the name of the workflow, we got to set the path of the trigger. So that helps you scale. Once you have like multiple requests, you want to name them something that's helpful, right? So we can call it daily check-in, right? Or check-in.
So right here, I should change it from REST
No, no,
API to daily,
no, no,
or
no.
just keep it there.
So that stays there, but the path needs to be updated. So
Daily check-in.
yeah.
Check-in. Okay.
And then we can just to make sure it's working, we can add a return node and say like, thanks for checking in.
Return. So I'm going to click the plus sign. I click the
Yeah.
core for return. Click add
Yeah.
node.
And then we can set the status to okay, and the value should be like, thanks for checking in.
Here we go. Okay.
And then, so what we could do is we can add a node in between. And basically, yeah, we can search for Firestore.
Okay.
Or do we have, so if we click on so we have two options here. We have Firestore as an option and the BuildShip database as an option, if you see in the integrations sections on the left. So the difference is, every BuildShip project is actually underneath is a Google Cloud project, and that has all the services that you can have in a Google Cloud project. That includes all the Firebase features like auth and Firestore and storage. And the thing with that is that if you already have a Flutterflow app that's connected to your own project and you want to use that Firestore, then you use the Firestore integration, and it allows you to specify your project ID, and then that like easily links up to your project's database. But if you're new and you don't have a database, then you can just use the BuildShip database.
Okay. And so if I'm hearing this correctly, if I wanted to, going forward, if I wanted to do a brand new Flutterflow app and use the database already set up, I can just use a BuildShip database and I don't have to worry about configuring for in Firestore and everything like that. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, so if you're not doing Firestore directly with Flutterflow, so unless you want to get Flutterflow to use BuildShip databases, that could potentially happen. just need to ask Flutter to do it. But if you're just using a database directly on BuildShip, then you can just use the BuildShip database. So
I'd love to hear it.
if all the interactions are done through BuildShip, then you don't need a Firestore, your own Firestore setup.
I love that. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So we can click here, and then we can find the. Do we have a what options do we have here? So we have. Do we have a add object, get document? Do we have a create document?
Let's see. Create document. Yep, we have one.
Yeah.
Use that.
So
Okay.
yeah, and basically, we can set the collection name. So the way, like, if we want to map it out, what I'm thinking is we have a collection of users, so we can set the collection name to users.
Mm-hmm.
In that, like, the first one is the collection name. If you hover, yeah, that's that one. And then the document ID, I'm thinking we can pass that in as a query parameter. So that will be like the user ID. So
Okay.
same way we pass the name, we can pass in the user ID.
Okay. Am I understanding correctly? Let me zoom out for a second. Would I be clicking the document ID? I would click the edit right here on the side, and then go to variables,
Yes.
and then go to requests, and then from there, I would do what?
So I think for simplicity's sake, we can do the same as the name,
Okay.
which is the selecting the query.
Let me do this. Let me do this back here. So collection name is users. Here, I'm going to just do document ID, having the value as users right here. Am I understanding that correctly?
The document ID is going to be the the user ID that we're going to pass in the query parameter.
Query parameter. The query parameters were in the variable section, correct?
So request, yes.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
So that gives you the whole request object, but you can navigate to the and then you can do dot query, but you can also, it'll be easier to, you can clear that one out and select the query directly.
Let me do that. Okay, request here.
Yeah, and then you have the query parameters, and then here we can do dot UID or user ID.
User UID. Okay. Okay. This looks good.
Okay, and then what do we have? So if we click away, now we will need to put some data in. So in the data object, we'll set the current date.
Okay, so I'd go to data right here, and then from there, I would go to edit here, and then from here, where would I go? Would I go back into another or typing? What would you think right here?
So I think what we need is like check-in time, right? So the data is going to be the Firestore document. So we're going to need to return an object, which is going to be the Firestore document. And so we can do like a JSON curly bracket.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can say like check-in time.
Okay.
And then we do like what is it? Is it semicolon or the colon?
Semicolon.
Yeah, and then yeah, that one. And then we'll do a JavaScript date. So JavaScript date is like new, you write new and then date. but with a space and a capital D.
Capital
So
N
new,
too, or no?
no,
Like
no,
that?
small,
There we go.
small. Yeah. And then it's a function, so it needs a circle bracket.
Circle bracket around the new date.
No, after the date. So after date,
No, after like. Would it be similar to? Am I looking at it like this? Would I do that?
no, no. So the way you think about it is date is like a JavaScript function. So, and when you're calling a function, so by just writing date, you're doing a referencing to that function, to that variable. But when you do a circle bracket after the the reference, you're calling it. There you go. And then some functions take in inputs, and then you put the inputs inside the circle, right?
Should
Yeah. But we
should I
don't
put
need,
anything? Okay, okay.
because we're just gonna do like we're just gonna get that will give you just now, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you want, it has a lot of different properties, and you can like Google JavaScript date, and that will give you a lot of all the documentations you need to know on how to use this. So by BuildShip not introducing its own programming language and just using JavaScript, you get a lot more documentation online for you to learn and how to do different things, as well as AI will be a lot better at like being able to, given that it's trained on all the JavaScript stuff out in the wild, it will be able to generate better um, like autofills.
Love it. Okay.
Mm.
And this is good. Now, by the way, because listen, I'm bad at JavaScript, for as people can see live. Shams, is there any reference you're saying? Look at the documentation. I like how you mentioned with the function. Now, of course, when AI, you could be saying it in English, standard English, and it will be able to do it. But is there any reference or anything that I should be looking up or kind of being more familiar for me to be more proficient? Anything you're thinking?
Yeah, so I think like um, basically searching for like JavaScript date function. So that will
Mm-hmm.
give you all there's plenty of documentation around that. So we're not like inventing an unnecessary thing that like we have to a document ourselves and then for everyone to learn it from scratch. So if you're already familiar with JavaScript, then it'll be very easy to pick this up. If you're not, then there's plenty of like, now it's been like, is it 30 years of JavaScript? Yeah. Um,
Yeah, just
probably.
about.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
I
So,
think that's good enough. I think that's good enough. Okay, good. Okay, well, that's great. That makes sense. So we have the structure there. Okay,
yeah.
we've got that set up. What should we do next?
So basically now, so if you click away, that will save it. And we can look at the last property. And that basically is the last property is the merge. So, and that basically it's a Firestore property. So if we set it to true, it will add that data that we have to the existing document. If we set it to false, it will delete the existing document and set the whole document to be just the check-in date. So for example, I would imagine in our full app we would have other user data like their name and their email and address and other stuff. So we want to set the merge to true. So every time they check in, we don't delete their data. We just add that check-in timestamp, right? So, but sometimes you need to reset the document, and that's when you use the false, so it wouldn't merge.
Makes
Um,
sense.
yeah. So, um, yeah, I think that's it in terms of like being able to like add that check-in date so we can ship it. And I think the missing piece is like we don't have any like user user data on that, right?
Like tracking their name and email, or just the basics of any login information. Is that correct?
Yeah, so like there, like we probably had needed like a sign up path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like somewhere where we can say like the user ID is this, and this is their name, email, and address. Do we want to do that in Flutterflow? Is that possible? So we can show that.
I think so. Let's so let me make sure I understand. You want to set up in Flutterflow the collection of the user ID, the name, the email address, all of those things in Flutterflow. Is that correct?
No. We don't need to do that. We just need to like have like a form that users can put in those things, and then we
Oh yeah,
use as a post request.
I think we can do that.
Yeah.
I don't see that being a problem. I don't see that being a problem. And also too, there is we're gonna go over there to Flutterflow in a minute. I think about also almost personal use first. If someone was going to use it just for themselves, right? Maybe they won't need, will they need more information with the user and everything if they're just using it for themselves? I wonder.
No. Then like it wouldn't if it's just one person. Then we don't need to do that.
I would
So
say if possible, I would probably, and this is just me, we can definitely do it to show how
yeah.
to add the users. The person was saying it, and like you were saying, the MVP, if this is personal use and scratching their own itch, it would be
Mm,
very basic and just theirs to fire, right? Then if
yeah.
they're having other people using the app, then they would be adding on to their process and everything like that. Would that be easier to add other things later on in
Yeah.
BuildShip, or do you feel like, okay, so you could expand if you wanted to later on?
Yeah. So like for example, if we say like you're like if the person only wants to do it for one person, then we don't need that complexity of a sign up, right? So we could just do the like we can do the check-in now, and
Mm-hmm.
then we can do the like the cron schedule
Okay,
instead.
let's do
So
that.
we can make the call to like we can ship that URL and like
Okay,
the endpoint
I
and
think,
basically
did I already do it? Let me do it again.
and there you go. And then basically like we'll copy it and we can pass in the UID.
Nice. Okay, test it out right now. Test it real
Yeah.
quick, or no?
So we'll pass in a query parameter. Um, I think if you already called it.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm back here, and if I'm understanding correctly, are we going to add one more node?
No, were you able to call it? I
I think
didn't
so.
see. Okay. Well, we need to pass in a UID, I think, because otherwise it wouldn't really do much.
Okay.
So if you remember, the document ID was the query parameter had the UID in it. So
Mm-hmm. Document parameter, and let me go over here. This one. Mm-hmm.
we need to pass that in the request.
Okay.
I think otherwise it will just set it to undefined or something. So in that request, in that URL that we called earlier, we need to pass in the question mark UID equals to and then something
Got it.
like value. So
And let's see. Should I do a almost like a date and time to have it as I'm doing this? So it'd be question mark, and then I would do the exact. Let me write it down right here. I would have. Should I have the date, adding a new date if I'm doing it, if I'm doing the request here? Like, Would it be
No,
a
no, no,
structure or no?
no, because we're like that's what like the how we can simplify our front end is by adding that logic of the date inside on BuildShip. We're simplifying the request we're making from the front end, right? And that gives you two benefits, like not having to do the logic of finding out the date on the front end, and also trusting that the user is sending in the right date, right? Because that could be either a mistake or even a malicious actor trying to set an old date to trigger the system to have a false um, positive, right? So it would, so we don't let the front end say set the date. The front end can only make the call to say I'm checking in, and then the back end decides like, yeah, you're checking in right now.
Okay. So if I'm understanding correctly, can I start building? Can I go to Flutterflow and start building the button and starting there? Is that okay?
We can do that too. Yeah. So we can do that if we want to. Like, if we want to do that, we can do that now. That would work as well instead of the URL, instead of
Uh,
calling the URL.
let's well, I don't wanna mess it up. If you're like, okay, well, we can finish up here first.
Okay. Okay. So the next part is like we need to make the. So if you go to the back to that URL, the one we just shipped. So the
Yes.
and then the thing we need to pass is the UID. So that's gonna be UID equals, and then you can set anything.
Should it be how should I
So,
structure the time? Should it be is it
oh,
new?
so that's
Mhm.
that's not the time. That's just the user identifier, right? So
That could
it's
just be
yeah. There you
the
go. That's
person.
yeah. So it could be the person. It could be like if you already signed up with like Firebase Auth, then usually Firebase Auth has a ID. Then you can use that.
That makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Well, thank you.
No
Okay.
worries.
So I
Um.
have this.
Yes. Okay. So now that did you call it? I don't know. Yeah, there you go. That's all. So now that you have it, then we can start building the scheduled um, job, right? So that daily system check who hasn't checked in the past 24 hours, right?
Just yes. I'm just writing it down so I have it. Okay. That sounds
So
good.
okay, so it looks like you run out of you've already used all 5 workflows. What do you have in the untitled workflow if we don't want to
Nothing.
upgrade?
I'm just clicking things. I can just
Okay.
delete it.
You can also upgrade.
This, you, you see how this is? Did you see that? It was a simple gesture. I will upgrade later. I promise I will. See, now I feel terrible. Now I feel terrible. Now people are like, oh, Doc, he's doing this and he's such a cheapskate. He won't even get onto the paid plan.
No.
Okay.
Look, now after it's gonna work, then you're gonna like it, and it'll be worth it for you. But
I
if you're
I love
only
it.
if only using it for your personal use and you don't need to scale like all the features that you have, then like if that's the only workflow you're gonna need, then that's fine, and that's we don't have to charge for that. But once you start like having millions of users checking in, we should.
Yeah, I definitely need to. This is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. Okay, so back here, I should do a new workflow now. I should do
Yeah,
another one.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna title it first this time. What should I title this one? What will this be?
Um. So we can call it like a scheduled checkup,
Okay,
right?
I'm
So
gonna
that's going to be the scheduled. Um,
check up. Okay. So I'll have it again. I'll keep it together with life alert, but I'm saying life alert, scheduled checkup. Okay. Next, I
so
should add a trigger.
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And should I go to schedule instead this time?
Yep.
Okay. So I have schedule right here. I should say add a trigger. And we're doing this because now we're doing the scheduled section here. Okay. I see it.
Yeah. So I think so. Basically, we have the schedule, which is what we can set. I think if you click on so basically that's a cron format, which is like a technical way of specifying when to run a function. But I think if the AI works now, again, we can try it to autofill it automatically. So we can say every day. So if you click on the pen tool and then on the AI prompt, see if that one works, we can try that.
This right here?
Yeah, and then to say to run every day. So run every day. That's it. Oh no, it didn't do it. Can we clear that one out?
Yeah.
And then let's try doing it again. If we let's try doing it again.
Okay.
And then we say like to a cron that runs every day.
If it won't work.
If it doesn't work, we can do it the old-fashioned way. We don't need
We'll
AI.
see. We'll see.
Can
Just
you
thinking about its life. This is good. Okay. Click out and come back.
No. We'll just wait for it. Just give it a
Okay.
second. It should be.
No worries.
But I think it's also because of the OpenAI API is currently unstable. So that potentially is causing it. Well, Google still works, so we can Google how Crons work.
Okay. Let's see. What should I say? Okay.
So like maybe like how to like a cron for every day, or maybe there's if you scroll down there might be like a cron calculator if we search for a cron calculator, or yeah, that the first one should be a good resource.
Every minute. Day of the month. Maybe day of the week. Let's see.
So we could do like every so the second star, so the first star is for the minutes, right? So we can remove that, and then we can do the second star. We can make it every first hour of the day. So it will be like star and then 1. So you can remove the /5 and put 1. We can try it, yeah. So no, you need to put a space in, I think.
Space 1.
Space 1, yeah.
Okay. Every second.
So every second, 1 minute. But so I think it needs to. The first one needs to be 0, rather than. No, so it will be every 0 second. So it will be like a 0 space 1.
Let's see. Okay. 0 space 1.
Yeah. And then so 1 0 for the second, 1 0 for the minute, and 1 for the hour. So the first star should be a 0.
The first star right here on this side should be a 0.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Huh?
Yeah. So now that makes sense, right? Oh no, that's every hour. So we need to do another 0. So 0 space.
Space. 0. Or
Okay.
do.
I think that's correct.
Or 1. Am I going crazy?
No, you're nearly there.
Okay.
But we need a space for the. There we go. Yeah,
like that.
I think so.
Let's see. It did another
And then
space.
we need to remove the star.
This one over here. This
Yeah, I think.
one.
Yeah,
Okay.
there. So now it's at 1 a.m. and you can change the 1 to like 2 a.m. or whatever makes sense. So you could do like
Yeah.
12.
Let's just do 7. 7
There
sounds good.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
pretty. So now what we're saying is, every at 7 So if you look down at the like that table underneath, that hopefully makes more sense now. Of
Mm-hmm.
where we're specifying each thing, and then maybe like we do it on weekly or like different things, so then we can play around with it.
Okay. Okay.
So that's basically how we can structure when we want to run that function. So instead of it being called by a front end, it's going to be called by a system every. So we can copy that one over.
Copy it. Yep.
And then we need to change the. What happens if we click away? Do we need to refresh? Yeah. So we can paste that value in directly there. There you go. And we can keep the time zone and the location. That shouldn't be a problem. So next we want to do like a Firestore query or like a BuildShip database query, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
want to query so we want to search for Firestore and then click on the BuildShip database part. So that's the one that we're hosting. And then we want to do a collection query.
Okay.
So basically here we're going to have the collection name, which is users, and we can set the filter. But for now, let's check if it's working in terms of like if we get any data back. So if you click on that that icon next to the dot 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 on the collection query, the
Mm-hmm.
the code icon, yep, that one. So this here, it shows you it allows you, it's like a playground for that node. So you can
Oh,
make
wow.
any changes you want in the like on the right hand side. So if you want to change the logic for the code here, you can. But we're here to like test that if that node is working. So if you run that test node button,
Right here.
yeah. So we need to you need to set a number of the limit, and then you can say like 1,000 or like not here in the node.
The node right here.
Yeah.
Should I
So we
do
can
a? Mm-hmm.
so that like helps in different ways, setting a limit to the query. So you want to make sure that you're not over querying for multiple reasons, like for costs. So every time you make a query, it will cost you per document in the returned result. So that one reason could be cost in terms of trying to optimize. Another reason would be like, let's say you have like 1 million users and you have a bottleneck somewhere down the line, either like BuildShip can't send out 1 billion emails at the same time, or even like the email provider can't send out 1 million emails at the same time. So you can do like a group in terms of setting a limit in terms of how many results you get back, and then maybe you can do like another schedule, like instead of our system where it's checking every day, it can check every hour or every like 10 minutes if we haven't seen someone for the past 24 hours, and then it will send that notification immediately, right?
Mm.
So that would like distribute your load over a more like smaller chunks, and that helps with like having like reducing like getting stuck with bottlenecks in terms of any system that you're building or using. um like trying to chunk things down into smaller sets, it will help a lot easier. But for now, you can just run test, and then we should be able to see the document we created earlier. So if you run test,
Should I save
node,
it first and just do this and
well,
then?
so saving is only for like when you're making changes to the node code or the inputs and outputs, and you want to use that in the workflow. That's when you save. But here we're just playing around with the node without having to call a workflow. So we can just run test, and
Okay.
that basically in the background builds the function only for that node versus like the workflow builds
Mm-hmm.
the whole workflow. So if you click on the green play thing, so here we see the data that we got. So we have the ID, which is on line 21. You can see that's like the document ID, which is doc, which is the user that checked in, and
Mm-hmm.
then see on like the line 13 is the data of that document, which is the check-in time, and that could potentially have been the user data as well. You can go there, but here, so you can see um, we did a query on that collection, and we got all the users back. So that's like the users that we have there. We also have other users. I don't know where they came in from, but potentially someone else tried to call this API. And yeah. So we have like two other experimental people.
Get them out of here.
That's fine. That's fine.
That's
so
good.
so yeah, so like you see here, it's like those two additional users, and then we
That's
have like
crazy.
the dot user. And then what we would want to do is like we would want to filter by the check-in time. Or yeah, I think we should order by the check-in time first. Let's try the order by.
Okay, right here. Click in
Yeah.
or go to edit.
Just click on the editor, and then we can see. Let me see. If we click on, if you click on inputs, in the top right.
Top right. Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you click on order by, and we can look at the description. So here you can see in the description. If we were outside in the workflow, we would see that outside, but here we can see how to use that order by field. So some things that like we try to like document in terms of how each field is used, especially if it's a bit like specific. And in this case, the way that we set the order by field is by specifying the field name and then the direction which we want to sort. So we want to order by the check-in field, and then the direction is going to be ascending or descending. We want to get the last. We want to get the ascending ones,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that would be the
Yeah.
last, the least recent check-in would be the lowest value.
That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So I would copy this
Yeah, you can
whole.
copy it. Yeah. So you can copy it without the quote. Yeah. That one. Yeah. And then we can paste it into the editor.
Just right here.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we want to set the field name to be check-in time.
And the field name, I would do it right after the colon.
Oh no, the field name is the thing we're gonna replace. Yeah.
Check-in time.
Yeah. No, that will be the same way we stored it in the. So if we click on that green button again, it should help
Green.
us. Did that go? Oh no, it's gone. We have to run it again. Why did it
Okay.
go?
No worries. We click
So,
that one.
so we
Thinks
need to
about
make
his life.
sure that we're using the same schema, like the variable names. So
I'm just writing down, just putting this here. Okay. We click the green button.
yeah, so you see here the on line 5, we have the check-in time, all in lowercase. So
Yep. So,
that's
and then we bring it over. If I'm going to have it in field name, I would just replace it. So I'd take the check-in time, copy it, and then I would put it directly where the field name would be. Paste that, bring this over, come back in, and then I would have it here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we can run the test again to see if the sorting pull you. Yeah.
Okay.
So if we look at the so we can see here, is it ascending or not? So it is ascending. If we scroll up to the top, is that lower? Is the first one lower?
Seconds. That would be lower. Yeah, the first one would be lower. This would be, we're looking in the seconds, right? So this would be, yeah. So this would be the lowest. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think the next part is how do we filter how do we filter by the value, right? So we need to look at how filtering works. So now that we're like sorting that data, so it's going to be easier to filter, where it like it'll crop the parts that don't fit in. And the way it works here, it's like 3 properties filters. They have the field, the operator in terms of like equals or less than, and the value. And we can look at like the Firestore documentation for this. I think that would be helpful. So if we look at the Firestore documentation on how to filter by a date, then we can get a hint for how to do this.
All right. Should I go for the official one or go into Stack Overflow? What do you think?
Well, both of these are more reliable than OpenAI, so we can.
I'm taking both right now. Let's see. I always find when I'm in Google Cloud, it just feels like the documentation feels overwhelming when I go into like Google. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I guess because it has a certain structure. So once you get used to it, it will become more like know where to put your eyes on, I guess. So
yeah.
But like it is more up to date. So
for Google.
For us to look at the Google documentations, it's more up to date. Do they have a date filter?
Let's see about this. On this page, let's see. Simple queries. Do I see anything with date? Let me see.
We
I
can
don't.
make it easier for ourselves. So what we could do is, instead of storing a date in Firestore, when the user checks in, we can store a timestamp.
Okay.
And that would just be filtering for a number, right? So you can click save here to go back to the workflow, and then we can try to update. Like if we go back to the life alert workflow,
Mm-hmm.
and we go to data, and we can Google how to get a timestamp from in JavaScript. I think it's
All right. How to get a timestamp in JavaScript. Let's see about this. All right. Let's see. Create a new date object and use the get time method.
So so that means all we have to do is, after, if we go back to the data, the editor, the new date thing that we had,
Mm-hmm.
and after the circle brackets, we can do dot get time.
Let me go back. Dot get time.
Yeah.
Do I have to do it with the capital T?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, and then it's also a function, so it needs to be it
Like
needs to
that.
be yeah. And I think we need to put the whole new date into circle brackets as well, but I'm not sure, because that's its own object. So we can put the circle brackets around new date, the whole
Like
new
that.
date. Yeah, and then after the, there we go.
Like
Yeah.
okay.
And then I think what I want to do is I want to change the variable name, the property name here, so that it doesn't confuse us with the old timestamp that we were doing. So we can change like the check-in time to be a capital I, or like a capital T.
Capital T here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then yeah, so then if we ship it again, and do another check-in. So if we go back to the same URL, I think we don't have to copy it each time because it's the same, the one we set. So if we go back, I think you have that page open, and then if you call it again, yeah, so that's it. So if we go back to, now we go back to our old life alert schedule one, we can go back to like try to check if our data got updated. So if we go back to opening that node, and then
I went there by first going here, correct?
yes, the
And
code icon.
there we go. And then testing the node here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run it and then see what it looks like. Okay, when the green button appears.
Yeah. So that runs that function, and then so if we scroll down to find the so now you have the check-in time with a small t, which is a
Nice.
and then we have the check-in time with a capital T, which is gonna be like a lot easier to handle in terms of setting up a filter for.
Nice.
So,
Okay.
and I think that's like generally when you're trying to like solve a problem, is not always having to like solve in a certain way, and sometimes you like get stuck and you're like, how do I filter through a date? And it's possible, right? Like we can filter a date, but then it will be a lot harder, and we can do the same exact thing with
That makes
just
sense.
making things easier for ourselves, and then just looking at different ways of solving the same problem. So now for the filter, it's going to be very easy. It's going to be the less than property. So we're going to do, let's open the editor.
Okay.
want to copy the? You want to do it on Notion as well, so we can map it out on Notion. It might be easier.
Yeah.
So we want to copy those, the instructions we had on the BuildShip. So in the inputs.
Inputs. Hold on. Yep.
We have the filters. We can copy that object filter, the field operator value object. Just yeah.
Just field value. Just this section, or copy the whole thing. Copy that.
We can copy the whole thing. That's fine.
Okay. There we
And then
go.
we'll construct it. Yeah. So if we construct, so now we need to construct an object. So what it's saying here is that BuildShip, that node takes in an array of that object. So similar to how in the check-in time sorting thing that we did earlier, what we do is we start with a square bracket, and that indicates that we're doing an array, right? So it's going to be an array of filters. And the filter that we're going to look for is going to be, so that's going to be an object. So that's going to be the a curly bracket. So it's going to be an array, which is a square bracket, and the first object is going to be identified with a curly.
Okay. So if I'm understanding this correctly, I could be wrong. It would start like this, or let me zoom in. Hold on one second. Do that. You're saying it would be like that. So first starting out here and then going in curly brackets, correct? Am I understanding that correctly?
The curly bracket needs to be inside the array object. So the yeah, there, and then yeah, there you go. And then here we can add multiple filters, right? So each filter is a curly. But
Gotcha.
for now we have one filter. So our filter is gonna be field, and then the field is gonna be like we need to set the name of the field. So then it's gonna be a colon, and then it's gonna be the field name, which is check-in time, but that's gonna be a string, so we need to do the quotes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we need the capital T because we changed it, right? And then yeah, I think maybe we'll do it in BuildShip. It'll be better. I think that's gonna, but basically we'll do the rest in BuildShip. Will be better. Because I realized the quotes might be a problem when you're, if you click on the filter now, editor, yeah. Oh, so it's already done for you, actually. So we can just type in, the operator. The operator is going to be less than. No, we'll keep operator, and then in the empty quotes that we have there. No. We'll keep the colon to like set that property, right?
Got it.
And then if we go back to the we go back to the Google, the Firestore documentation. I think I can show you that one. So you have those operators. You have the less than, equal, equal to. So what we want to do is we want to query the documents that have a timestamp that's less than 24 hours ago, right? So that's what we're gonna use, the less than operator.
And I would do this like that, pretty much.
No, it'll be inside the quote.
Oh, okay. So I don't even have to. So I can just do the less than like that.
Then. Yeah, but inside the quotes for.
Gotcha. Yep.
There you go. Yeah. And then, so the field, we should set the field name again. So that one is the last in this object. We set the similar and like the check-in time.
Check-in time. Got it.
So that one is the not here. In the you see the field text property.
Yep.
And then after we'll keep it. We'll keep it. and then we'll add it in the quotes. So similar to the operator.
Got it.
Yeah.
Sam, thank you for your patience. I know you're going to be drinking after this session, but I appreciate you.
Oh, good. So I think the last bit, we're nearly there. The last bit is the value. So the value is not going to be a string. The value is going to be a number. And we're going to do like a calculation here. So we can remove the quotes.
Right here, these?
Yeah, so those quotes can go because these are specifying a string. And what we'll need to do is we were going to do the timestamp of 24 hours ago. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a new timestamp. So it's going to be the same as what we did before, which is going to be new date and then get time.
Where did I have that before? Oh, keep going. Yes.
Yes, that one. So that one we can just do it. I think it's in the other part of the workflow, but we can just write it again. So that's going to be like circle brackets, and then new date. Inside the
inside the circle, like that one.
Yeah, because we're gonna reference that property. No, the space after the new. And then that's like so we need to do a circle bracket after the date to initiate that date, and then after the second circle, we're gonna do .get time.
And any capitals? Do we need to do it, or can it be all
capital T for the time?
Okay.
And then we're gonna do it's a function, so it'll get the circle brackets again
after get time.
Yeah. So if we run this now, if you click away and run test,
test node.
So that should give us all the like that document. I think if we click on so that only gives us the document because that's the only one that has the check-in time property. So basically our filter is like whoever checked in before now, give me that document. But what we want to do actually is like whoever checked in before yesterday. So now we need to do more math. So we're gonna do that get time. We can do like minus after that. No, afterwards.
Before the after these brackets or before? Before.
After.
Yeah.
And then we can do minus. And then we'll try to do a whole day, right? So a whole day is like how many seconds?
How many seconds is 1 day? Hold on 1 second.
We can do like we can just do like 60 times 60 times 24 directly.
Okay. Oh, you want me to just do that?
Yeah, we could do that.
You said just 60 times 60.
Yeah. So star
24. Star. Switching over.
And then I think it's because the timestamp is in milliseconds, so we'll do times 1,000.
Times 1,000.
Yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
milliseconds, seconds. So if we click away now and run the test again, it should give us no results. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like what we'll do now is we'll copy the filter over. So if you open the editor for the filter, because if we copy it over to the in the clipboard, because here we're in the node editor, we're like this is more of like a sample box environment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When we go back to the workflow, so if you click save or cancel because we didn't change anything,
Just
um,
cancel. Okay.
we can set the filter. So that we need to set the filter here now because that's where we're going to use it. So we can paste that in the whole thing, the new one.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, so basically instead of having to like run the workflow or figure out how we're going to run this cron every time we want to test it, we can just open the node directly and be like playing around with different values and experimenting and learning how to use different nodes. And then once we figured out how to use a node, if it's working, if we need to make changes to it, then we can go back to the workflow level and do those changes there. So now what will happen is we'll the Firestore collection will return an array of documents. So what we'll need to do is like we'll need to loop through the array of documents. So if you click on add a node after the collection query,
Mm-hmm.
you can click on loop the core node. And what looping allows you to do is go through a list of items. So you can see like the description here, and
Mm-hmm.
by default you can like in the editor add an array of items, but if you add it we can show you how we can use it dynamically.
Okay.
So in the items we're going to need to loop through the collection, the results from the document. So we can click on the pen tool and then variables, and then yeah, so inside that the collection query, we want to loop through we can loop through the collection query, which is an array of like document ID, or we can loop through the data directly. And what that will do is everything that we're doing inside the loop will get called with that data.
Mm.
So this would help us if we have like we said, if we have a lot of users that need to be like for example, if we had a user for this use case, if the user document had like who should I call, like should I contact a caretaker or someone uh, that needs to check up on that person that hasn't checked in, right? So then you can do inside the loop, you can do like another Firestore query or another API call or something to like access external data to like, okay, I'm gonna get someone's email, and from that I'm gonna send an email to them to notify them someone hasn't checked in today, right?
That makes sense. And that would be the document data to be able to grab all that
So,
information to go
so we can,
deeper.
yeah, so we can click on that document data, and then we need to remove the square. I think the square brackets shouldn't only for, yeah. So we can remove that square bracket. And then if we click away, that's where we're gonna, where it says add node, this one, that's where we're gonna do the individual level logic of that. What do we want to do when a result comes back with someone that hasn't checked in,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we can, if you click on add node, I think we can just, so if you scroll down, I think in the integrations, what do we have? Um, we have, so we have like different things like Discord or SendGrid or Resend or Slack or Telegram, where we can, or Twilio. So like you can use Twilio to send an SMS, or you can use SendGrid to send an email, right? So we can like, let's look at the Twilio one, for example. I think, does it have a, yeah, so we have the SMS sender.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so um, like let's add that in, and then we can, so this one, like it'll need some setup, so we won't go into it today. But basically you would have to set up like an account with a like a third party sender provider,
Mm-hmm.
and like Twilio would be one option. And here you can just specify, like Twilio will give you like the authentication token that would authorize someone to like BuildShip to make SMS messages on your behalf, and you would pass in the auth token, which is your API key, and then you can send like for Twilio, there's a from number and a to number, and the message body will say, "Hey, this person didn't um, check in today," right? Um, and that would do. So I think that would like finish that whole
Yeah,
um, project. So
I love it.
hope, hope that was fun.
No,
And
this is good. No, this I think it, and the reason that we bring it up. So thank you very much. And then also too, we do not, because we already went over time. So thank you for your time.
no,
Is for the integrating it into Flutterflow is on the BuildShip YouTube channel. Is there a video step by step how to do it? We can always do it next time or just reference the video. Um,
Um, I don't think we have it yet, but
okay.
we'll probably have it soon. So like BuildShip is very new.
Yeah.
We only released it like like a little bit over a month ago. So there's a lot of updates coming out um, weekly and like more videos. So if you go to like the BuildShip YouTube channel, there's a lot of videos um, around documenting how to use BuildShip, and then I think soon we'll have a video on how to use it with Flutterflow. We can also do like another live stream um,
Yeah.
to go through some more examples and how to use this example or another example in a Flutterflow app. That would also work.
Okay, then we'll do that again. This is thank you for your time. Please don't go anywhere when we end it. I just had to say goodbye. But no, this we dropped the links down below to make sure you check out, subscribe to their channel. They just passed 2,000. They're growing, so make sure that you check them out. All the new videos that they're adding, all the different things from there. The other thing is to keep in mind as you're going through this, and this is why we're having examples. This is why we're having this conversation with BuildShip and with the team. You have to make sure that you're writing down or writing out the process, what you're looking for. But also, it helps so much if you already have if you have looked at documentation before or have a basis to be able to structure this. As you can tell me, I do not. So that's why it takes longer. But the more you practice, the better that you're going to become. And then also, too, just like we were talking about before, and we see it in the chat, OpenAI was down for a lot of the time. So working with using plain English and creating that, we'll talk about that as well with using BuildShip and everything in the future. So again, Shams, thanks so much for taking the time and for being here and just gritting your teeth, but passing and making sure that I made it through. So thanks so much for making it happen, man.
Thanks. No, it was fun. I think like yeah, we can still do it without the AI stuff. So
Good.
um yeah,
I love
all
it.
good.
So Remember, in the chat down below, let us know if you're watching replay. Make sure you like and subscribe for the BuildShip YouTube channel for this one if you like it, and make sure that every single week we do this, we bring you great documentation, or we bring great videos to talk about documentation, what you can be doing, and we'll be seeing you in the next video. Remember, ask all of your questions down below, and we'll see you in the next video.